You're listening to For Better and Worse with Jess and Rach. We're drinking red wine on my grandma's couch. That just feels like sin a little bit to me.
That feels right, if you ask me.
Well, you don't know my grandma.
I don't.
She would never approve of red wine on her couch, let alone there's white carpet underneath here. This is just a risk in it.
I'm not mad, though, because this is a damn treat. What kind of wine is this?
Lauer. This is, remember when Josh and I went to
Come
Calvin?
again?
It's either Lauer or Lawyer or Lauer. I think it's Lauer.
Okay, but it's spelled
Lawer. So it's not like lawyer. Lauer. So Josh and I went to Napa and literally had one glass of wine here, and we're like, this is the finest establishment of all time.
one time.
And we will be members. And, sure as shit, every 3 months I'm billed like
Really?
$250 for wine to come to my house.
Damn.
Fuck it.
Living large.
I mean, isn't it good?
Mm-hmm.
There's a Cabernet Sauvignon, baby.
It's smooth for a cab.
Just for you.
Thank you.
These are our after dark beverages.
I know. It is such an after dark thing, because usually it's like sunny out. We're drinking Bud Lights.
Yeah.
It's like we're patio drinking. But now we're really winding down.
Yeah, we're winding down for the
We're
night.
setting the mood for me, Rach.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling some type of way.
Good. Do you need me to prepare the guest room for you?
Yeah, I'm spending the night.
I hope you do, Jess.
Well, I work at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Ooh. Yuck.
Okay.
How's your week been? I saw you yesterday. I've turned Jess on to my yoga bullshit.
Not that I'm new to yoga bullshit. The wine's getting to me. I better slow down. I'm not new to yoga, but I am new to kick your ass, wanna die, power sculpt yoga.
Shout out Rogue Awakening in Fairlawn.
Shout out Karina, because she is not only is she funny, but she's just good. She's good at motivating you. But there was one point in the class that we took last week that I looked over at Rach and she's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "We'll talk about this next week on the pod," because I thought it was like torture. I'm like, "Oh my God." But I ended up loving it, truthfully, because I came back for actually next week. So
yeah. I think, like, on a real note, Power Sculpt, so it's yoga flow with weights and like a cardio circuit and like
bands. TheraBands.
Yeah, so it's like it's yoga, but like I can't relax. So like yoga, like vinyasa, like I just can't do it. Like I just don't enjoy it. It just feels like a chore to me. Where this is like it's a workout, and I feel like I'm getting the benefits of yoga.
It's also a hot room.
Yeah,
95
degrees.
We were just talking about that. I'm like, I was knees to hands bent over. Like keeled over, and I don't do that when I work out. Like I stand up straight, keep it moving. I was seriously KO'd, and I looked at Rach, and she just like gives me this smile, and I'm like, "Fuck off! This is so hard," but it felt so good. Benefits are good.
I know. I think what's so important, like for me, was like in my like healing of like my exercise journey was finding an exercise that I actually 100% enjoyed, because until that all I would say was like I like hiking.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind running. Like there are times I'm like I'm in the mood for a jog. But like this like Power Sculpt is like I love it. So I encourage you, if you're ever like afraid of like trying something new, don't be.
Do it, because you don't know if that's going to be your new thing.
Yeah.
Like cycling for me, I go to Cycle Bar, and that's my one workout I love to do. Like
good.
Power Sculpt for you. Power Sculpt for me is like I know my body needs that, so I have to go to like a class setting to go do it, and I feel so good after. But yeah, encourage you guys to try something new, because that could be your new thing.
Yes.
That you love to do.
Well, good. We got some talking points before we get into our interview with our friend Jeri later. But other than that, how was your week? Do you have any
good?
Any
okay,
stories,
I'm gonna throw it back.
Okay.
Because this is a funny story that I feel like sticks with me, and I just have to tell it. And if we wait any longer, it's not going to be relevant. Okay. So let me set the scene. So we can call it a stupid fight of the week, but it's really not. It's just a funny Joe situation. So Joe and I love the movie Home Alone. And if you don't, I don't want to explain the scene to you. You shouldn't be listening to the podcast because everyone loves Home Alone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would argue it's a year-round movie.
Okay, yeah, I did too. When I wrote this story, I was like, yeah, is this appropriate to even say? But I was like, no, we quote this actually year-round.
Yeah.
So it's still, and we definitely still quote this. So there's this one part in the movie in the beginning, and everyone's ripping on Kevin in the morning. Everyone hates him. Or no, it's like the night before, right? Everyone's packing, he's running around, and he had just ruined dinner. Everyone knows the scene. He goes upstairs, and his sister, I don't know, there's so many kids in that movie, but he goes, she says, oh, what's the quote? Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, she says, you're what the French call les incompetents. Okay. And so everyone knows this scene, and it started with my sister and I, Britt and I used to say that to each other all the time. We watch it with Joe, we laughing about it, whatever. Here's the story. So our dryer breaks and we go to fix it. My dad's like, hey, I'm coming over to fix it. So Joe kind of wants to like deconstruct it first for him to like get it all broken down, whatever. So he starts deconstructing and taking it apart. And there's this one screw that falls out. And Joe's like, I seriously cannot find this. Like this screw is like crucial to put it back together. And your dad is on his way. And he's
panic.
And yeah.
Jim's coming.
And here's the thing. Joe always gets so bent out of shape about my dad coming and looking and being smart and being capable, which he is 100%. But he just starts to freak out and gets in his head about it. So he lost his screw. And I'm like, if you're just like, slow down, we'll find the screw. It's not a big deal. Like either way, we have tons of screws that we can kind of replace it. Not a big deal. And he's like, he said this. He said, Jess, I'm so sick of being les incompetents. And it was so funny because he was like on the verge of a freak out. Like he was already doing the hands through the hair. He was on the verge of it. Like I was like, oh my God.
And hands through the hair.
He pulled les incompetents so hard too. The way he said it was just so freaking funny. So we laughed it off. And he'll say it sometimes. Like my dad was over and he was like working on the car. He's like, I don't want a les incompetents moment. I'm like, you are so competent, Joe. You're smarter than most people. You're a damn lawyer. So
but these are like examples. Like I know that you can just look at them and like laugh, but like this is an example of how much like Joe needs you in his life. Because like if you weren't in his life, he just like tries to match your energy and your humor, and I think it like will break him out of his like psychosis at times.
It's like this, and then that other example of him being like, the only thing we should be funny about is the way your hair looks right now. It's like, you're using me on me, and this is great.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So the fact that he used humor in a situation where he was seriously about to lose it, like I saw the red in the face and I was like, oh my God. And that was just so unexpected. But
that's
we use that a lot.
Like, as your friend, I'm like, that's so much growth for Joe.
It is.
Like before it was like, Joe, take a cold shower. You need to reset.
Oh, but it's so good. Dude, les incompetents is funny.
That is funny.
But he's not incompetent. He's very, very smart. But
he is smart.
But he uses that a lot. And I love it. I think it's funny. Okay, that was it.
Okay. I wanted to bring up something because these are for the OGs who didn't come from TikTok, where the little clip that we went viral on TikTok wasn't even from a real episode.
No, we were just bantering. We put
it was
the
like
mic on record just to like get a feel for things.
Yes.
And this kind of spewed out and
it was like a clip I had on my phone, and I was just like trying to figure out TikTok, and of course I didn't even link up the real audio to the video. I was just like, fuck it, no one's watching anyway. Of course, it gets like 400,000 views or some shit. But I wanted to share this information with the world because I just had my time of the month. Because although I don't know if syncing up is a real thing, I don't know if that's rooted in misogyny or witchcraft.
It's 100% is. 100% is.
But now I'm on my period.
We should put tea. We should be having tea.
Well, I'm not cramping right now. But guys, hot tip for ya. If you are having menstrual cramps, okay, put a little wine in your tea. I found this out from a past coworker of mine who was pagan. And she told me this like little pagan tip and trick. And I've been using it ever since.
I have not used it since you've tipped me on this.
Yes, you're sleeping.
So we're telling our podcast listeners now. Okay.
Yeah,
because they are not hip.
They're not hip to the TikTok knowledge.
Okay.
and I wanted them to know because
Okay.
a few days ago I was right before bed I was making myself my normal concoction, which is black tea with wine, and I'm like right before bed I'm like, that's not gonna work. Rach poured it out, had to do some herb tea. Didn't work because I was caffeinated.
Is it specific wine?
From the TikTokers, I think our conclusion is like black tea could work because caffeine might help. Red wine, but like a nice raspberry tea would be good as well.
It also sounds good.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just good.
It's good knowledge for you.
I wanted everyone that didn't see that TikTok that we have,
to stay woke.
Stay woke on the pagan stuff.
On the pagan concoction.
They don't be slipping on home remedies. Okay.
They ain't slipping.
They're on top of it.
What else do you got for us?
Okay. Another thing on TikTok. Apparently TikTok is our life.
We don't know, but people are loving us on the TikTok. We're not sure why. We are thankful. We appreciate y'all.
I know. So we wanted to do this new segment where hopefully if we don't ramble for too long, we can respond to the questions that we're getting in our comments on TikTok.
This will be fun. I'm excited about this. I actually have no idea what you're about to hit me with, but
okay. So
still excited.
This person, Aries.Stottle. Oh, Aristotle. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. Commented, what would you advise to do to maintain independence through a relationship?
Ooh.
Isn't that such a good question?
I love this because I feel that I need this independence, and I feel like it's super important to grow as a couple with having your own lives.
Yes.
I'm someone who relates to being an extroverted introvert. So I need a lot of time alone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at night, Joe and he'll like stay downstairs. This is like a newer thing with like a few months. He'll stay downstairs, watch TV. I go upstairs and hang out and have alone time.
Yeah.
Like I
think it's like normalizing those kinds of behaviors.
Oh yeah. And he knows it too, because he knows that about me. And it's like, it's not about you. It's not that I don't want to spend time with you, but in order to love you more and have a healthier, better relationship with you, I need to fulfill myself. So, and that's also like going to workout classes for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I'm just like, gotta go.
Yeah.
Cup is full. That's how I say it's my metaphor. It's like when I've done too much, like I don't have enough time for myself. I'm like, gotta empty this cup, and that means alone time for me.
Yeah. I think like normalizing conversations around independence. You know, like a big thing for Josh is video games, and we've talked about this before. I don't understand them. I don't relate to them, but it's part of his independence. It's something he absolutely enjoys. So I'm not going to get in the way of that. And like, although there are times where I'm like that typical girlfriend that's like, you're going to play video games and not hang out with me. I do that. I'm that girl.
But that doesn't support his independence.
No,
so.
But
we will work on that. We will work on that.
Like I slip up, but like there are times where like I understand. Oops. I understand that
that's important
to him, and I don't have to have an opinion about absolutely every single thing he does. And I think like a lie that we are taught to believe about relationships is that you have to be on the same page about everything. You have to enjoy doing all the same things together, or you're doomed for failure. But I think if you have a mutual respect around independence, around like you do this, I do that, and as long as you communicate through that, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to play video games, and Josh is never going to.
No, these things don't have to be, done together as a couple, too. And from someone like Joe, someone who doesn't need or like love alone time, but I do. But he also knows that I've communicated to him that that's what I need.
And that's just respect.
Right.
That's respecting you.
Hashtag respect.
Respect.
Put some respect on my name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like just communicate that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to do it, and then actually do it. So communicate it, and then take that action. Be like, I'm going out. I'm stepping out. I'm going for a drive.
Yeah.
We'll do that too. So.
And if you're not with someone if you're not evenly matched in that, like if you keep on having these conversations over and over, like, hey, this is just about my independence. This is just about me, like, needing alone time. This is just about me enjoying something that I enjoy. And your partner's not respecting that. That's a different conversation.
And a different episode.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Refer back to the ex the breakup. No, I'm just kidding. No, just communicate it. That's what
We got a weird. I deleted it because I was like, this is such a weird message on Instagram from someone who was like absolutely just like a troll account.
Oh,
which like I know we're
I'm
gonna
not
get
ready
them.
for the haters yet. We have a lot of support, which is good,
Yeah.
but they're about to come. They're
No,
gonna come for
we
me.
get hate on every like opinionated relationship advice post.
But we don't claim to be experts.
No.
We say that. We said this is unsolicited. You don't have to listen to it.
Yeah, you
We
don't have to
actually
listen to
don't know what we're talking about, but thanks for listening.
But this person, they didn't follow anyone on Instagram and no one followed them. So I'm like, this is just a troll. They messaged us and they were like, do you give advice to anyone else other than couples that are divorced? I wanted to message back being like, I've actually never given advice to couples who are divorced.
Yeah.
I've never talked about that.
I'm married and talk about my marriage and the advice within my marriage. So
people are fucking wild.
I know. I'm not ready for that.
I know.
Okay, shoot me another question.
Okay, I have one more.
Ready.
I have to go.
That's a good one. I like these. This TikTok segment's fun.
This is more pointed. How can I expect someone to love every part of me when I don't even like or know every part of me?
Therapy.
Yeah.
No, that's
not necessarily the answer.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying, like
a way for you to get to know yourself is definitely through therapy.
Yeah, but it's also just taking that time to not.
But if say in this situation you're in a relationship and you're like, man, you're in one, you're committed, and you're like, I don't even like myself. I don't even know myself. I think that's okay. Like Josh and I had this conversation the other day.
You blindsided me with
I know,
these.
I probably should have told her about it. But because Josh was feeling guilty, he because that TikTok that just went viral was about the like, you have to know yourself. And he's like, I don't even know myself. And I was like, that's not true. You might not be secure with yourself 100% of the time. I was like, but if we were to break up, you would still have the same interests, have the same friends, do the same job. Like you have a life. You're secure in that life, right? But I think like you're allowed to not like yourself all the time.
Yeah, I feel like that's normal.
That's so normal as you're growing up. And I guess the answer is like you can't expect someone to love a version of yourself that you don't love, but someone might anyway.
Yeah.
Like
it's so tough.
Yeah.
I'm like really sitting on this. And also I want to say I said therapy because I've learned a lot in therapy to learn to love myself and learn to communicate my feelings, which has helped me. So I feel like that can be beneficial. I wasn't like, you need therapy.
Yeah, we don't know you.
No. I mean, it's the best thing. So that's not what I meant, but it's also like, damn.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
These are the things, like there are those cliches. You can't love someone till you love yourself, right? Like,
and we said that in our last episode, but I do feel like,
there are always points in your life. Like, if you're married for 40 years, I'm sure you're not loving yourself for all those 40 years.
No.
But granted, we can't give advice on that. Neither one of us has been married for 40 years. I tapped out at 4. I tapped out.
I tapped out.
So.
Okay, let me think on that. Come back. Maybe next episode. That's tough. But I like that.
Right. I encourage everyone. So my goal in therapy when I started was like, I want to know myself. I was like, I want an accurate view because I got out of a relationship where like someone was telling me who I was. And I was like, I don't think that's who I am. You're telling me that's who I am. I don't know. And then I was also getting feedback from my friends that were like, no, Rach, you're this person. You're this and you're that. And I was like, I want to be that. I think I could be that. But like when I was working with my therapist, I was like, I just need to know like, what am I?
Yeah.
And that is a huge journey that you need to go through, like
Absolutely.
for yourself.
My therapist first session was like, yeah, you're using humor to cope a lot, and that's not tolerated in this session. I was like,
so
got me. Yeah. No, but it was good, and I was like, it feels good to be called out, and she's like, no, it feels good to be seen. Sobbed.
Aww.
But it felt so good though. It feels good to be seen.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that you feel very seen in therapy, and
hopefully if you don't have the right therapist, and that's okay. That's also okay. Don't like knock therapy just because you don't have the right therapist right away. Just like don't knock mental health medications because one's not working for you. Mental health is a journey. Therapy works for most people. Medicine works for most people. It doesn't work for some. You know, I'm not a doctor yet. We don't know.
Shut up.
I got time on this earth.
Yeah.
I'm starting another business. Who else knows?
She's just adding those things to the resume.
You know what I don't do, Jess? Think about future me.
We living in the moment, sis.
Yeah, we living in the moment. Past me is like, you know what? This sounds like it'd be really fun to work on. And then like present me is like, you bitch. You have a job. You have a business. You're telling me you're going to start another one with a brick and mortar location, which requires memberships and payroll system, and
you're going to crush it. You're going to crush it.
I hope so. The thing that's really getting me through, because I've really been I've been a little bit struggling with my mental health. I felt a lot better today. You know, like when you just go through like a dark week.
It's called 70-degree weather.
Maybe. I just was like, I got a good deal on some chairs at the Restore, and I think that really just
nothing will make a day like a good deal.
$2 a chair? Are you fucking kidding me?
I wish I was more of a thrifter. I don't look for deals. I don't shop on sale.
Oh my God,
I know. I'm hoping Jeri shed some light on the situation when I become a mother someday.
She's not a financial advisor.
I'm just hoping when she's like, when you have kids, I just need her to like scare me straight, you know, that you gotta shop on sale. You got a secondhand shop. It's not that I don't shop secondhand. Sometimes I thrift. Sometimes
you thrift for the aesthetic, though.
100%.
Don't thrift for like
100%. If you don't think I thrifted Levi's and a big old baggy plaid shirt because I wanted to look like a Gen Zer, you're crazy. Because I did.
And you got a middle part.
I'm never getting rid of this. Ever since my...
Are we doing it?
Yeah. Ever since my haircut got called out, I've been bitter.
You've been reeling. Truly.
I know.
Whatever.
I know. I can't let millennials down like this, but I'm just trying to stay hip with it.
But yeah,
hip with it.
Segueing in,
Yes.
for those of you that don't know what today is about, we're interviewing Jeri Steinmetz, who I know through photography, and Jess actually doesn't know personally, but knows virtually.
We talk all the time on Instagram and refer each other to different clients. We talk quite a bit, and we've had some very funny conversations. So I feel like I know her very well, and
but I'm
so excited.
This is going to be so good. Even if you're like, I'm not even in a relationship and I don't want to, like, I'm not.
Doesn't matter. Jeri's funny as fuck.
Jeri is one of, if not the funniest person I've ever met in my life.
You know, when someone like I said, the only way I know her is through text. Yeah. But she texts like I know she talks, and she's just a comedian at heart, and I know it, and it's so excited.
We're just talking about her character, but also like her podcast right now, Ladies and Tangents, that she hosts with her cousin Sierra, is blowing up.
It's goals for us, so is what we strive to be.
Yeah, we're so freaking proud of her. You should listen to her and Sierra talk about like real issues, but in like such a smart and funny bantery way. Their podcast is so good, and you can binge like they have more than 60 episodes out, I'm sure by now.
Yeah.
So it's like, go for it, you know.
So
if you're a podcast slut, binge it all. So we're gonna try to get on with Jeri. We're gonna switch over to a Zoom call, and I'm praying to God this works.
Don't judge us if it doesn't. We will get through it together.
All right, we'll be back in a second with Jeri.
BRB. Jeri, what are you drinking?
This is Frostfire. It's a local winery. I don't remember what it is.
Red or white? Looks white.
It's white. Yeah. I got this glass from Goodwill. There's 2 of them. What a delight to find a set. You know what I mean?
Wow. Very
At
much
least
so.
2.
Very cute.
I know. Thank
Very
you.
vintage.
Well, Jeri, welcome. Here's a virtual cheers.
Yay!
We can really cheers though, Jess. We're in the same place.
I just like smashed my computer with my glass.
Just
That's the last bit of me that you see.
Every time I see you, I'm in awe of your beauty. I just can't stand your hair. I can't stand your face. I can't stand. I just feel like I'm being transported into just like an episode of Ladies and Tangents, like your tangent couch. Look at you.
You're
like
dude, the
iconic,
setup
baby.
is unreal over there. Can I just point
Thanks.
that out? Soup's
There's
cute.
a literal dog penis right here that no one's called us out about. It's an anatomy, you know.
Okay, our
So it's
faces
not-
are in the way of that, but I do need to
good.
show our listeners.
The dog penis?
Oh my
Do you see
god! You
So if
can't
you-
see
it's-
it, Jeri. Jeri, really? If I look, I wouldn't notice it.
Well, joke's on me because that's the female reproductive system I just read. So there is no penis.
Oh my gosh!
Well, you learn something new every day, don't you?
That's why your veterinarian crew hasn't been calling you out, Jer.
Can't wait to talk to you guys about children because I clearly know how they're made.
I know. I was just like, she's got it on her wall. She knows
You've
exactly how
created
it works.
2 penises, to my knowledge. So
I had help, but yeah. I just want you to know that I am damn near flammable right now with the amount of dry shampoo that's in my hair. I had intended to shower this week and it's not happened. So,
But
this is
also,
the me
no
that you
need
get.
with long hair. That's a trick of the trade.
Truly.
Because we don't see what's going on up here. We just see this voluptuous,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
doesn't get oily.
I'm just distracting you with my dead ends.
And we're here
Please
for it.
don't
And we,
look up here.
And Jeri, you're
Far.
your own hairstylist, so I think that's on you. Jeri
I'm
does her own
not.
hair.
I
she's
haven't.
not.
Since when?
I haven't.
She switched over to the dark side.
Well, her best friend
I
is a
did.
hairdresser.
Yeah. Yeah, my best friend has a salon in Cleveland, Exodus, if you guys want to go.
That's where I've been.
But
King's Church people.
yeah. I
in
went
it.
to her for the first time. She's been a stylist for as long as we've been graduated, but I just have this phobia of people cutting my hair. It's like definitely rooted in childhood trauma. So
Been there.
I was cutting my own hair because I'm like, if I'm going to hate someone, I'd like it to be me. I already do that. So I finally did end up going to her. And then, it's, pandemic time. So we just letting her grow.
We love it. I think it looks great.
Thanks, guys.
Did your children get to bed okay? Hence,
They
our
did.
we're after hours.
We're after hours, hence why we're drinking wine. But we're after hours because mom life over here.
It's after dark. Come on. You guys are going to get a special
Podcast
visit from
after
Click
dark.
Clack, I think.
Bringing the special guest.
Do you need to come up? Okay.
Mosby.
Or don't, whatever. You're really
Mosby.
throwing off the vibe. Yeah, they got to bed just fine. It's been like above freezing, so we were able to go outside and we were just like running in the yard. Jess, I literally was picking up dog poop thinking of you yesterday.
Did you have a nice little system to it where someone holds the bag and the other one just tosses it in? How do you guys do it?
Normally, Ollie follows
genuinely
me
curious.
around the yard. And he just has the trash can and I use the scooper and I put it in. And then he points out to me anything that I've missed.
Define
He's-
scooper. What kind of device are you using?
Do you have an
So-
Amazon link? Do you
Can you
get
link
referrals?
it in bio?
I might be able to. I think we got it from a pet's place. But it's like, a shovel with a fork.
We need.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
need.
so you rake it in there. And so if it is soupy, you also just kind of like cut the grass around it.
Which is fine. We were doing it
Yeah.
with some hoe tool.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Some hoe
worth
tool.
Same. Jeri,
what
text
Shane-
that to me later because I need
Will
that.
do. Will do. Shane
Appreciate
calls me
that.
his hoe tool as well. He's like, my hoe tool cleaned up the dog poop.
My hoe tool cleaned up my winter's load.
And that's
Yeah,
how you keep the marriage alive, everyone.
honestly.
Oh my
Derogatory terms.
Yeah.
That's the real secret.
Terms of endearment.
Yeah. Well, Jeri, we did give you a little intro before we started this. We hyped you
did?
up. Yeah,
You
how
did?
we know each other. Mine and Jeri's. Oh, we didn't say this. Mine and Jeri's first date. So I picked her up. She flew out to Oregon for the photography workshop I was hosting, and I very seriously asked her if she wanted to go to IKEA for lunch, and she jokingly was like, yeah. And I was like, great. I got a hankering for some Swedish meatballs. And Jeri found herself
always go for meatballs.
IKEA cafe with some bitch she just met.
We unloaded so much information on each other. You
That's
were
how I
like,
do.
listen, getting
Rach has
into this
that
industry
effect.
is not easy. Yeah. I owe my life to Rachel. Rachel's like my big sister who's younger than me.
Same. She's the reason I am in. I have Jess Card Photography. Cheers to that.
Well,
Same.
I didn't put in
Well,
any
I
of
don't
the
have
work
just
for
carp
either of you.
photography, but
Great. For you. Right.
I decided to change my photography name at the workshop. Rach is the first person to show me how to use a preset. She do you remember?
Same. What the fuck do I do for a living? I don't even know. I swear to God, I disassociate the entire time.
You don't remember? We were in the hotel and I was like, I've never used a preset. Can you show me what that's like? And you said, send me a raw photo. And so I did. And you looked at me and you go, no, send me a raw photo.
Yeah.
You shot in JPEG.
No. Jeri took some insane course and she uses, what is it? It's a white
Expo
balancer, an Expo disc.
Yeah. I custom set my white balance.
It's fucking perfect. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because like, this is such a photography nerd, but we got photographers, so fuck it.
Yeah.
You can listen to
We
this.
gonna nerd out.
With Kelvin, you can only affect like warm versus cool, but Expo disc can affect tint, pink versus green.
Yeah.
And so your in-camera stuff is just like immaculate. Wow. I bought an Expo disc absolutely after Jeri recommended it. Do I use it? Absolutely not. Because I don't learn. I just get everybody else to be better than me. And I'm like, I'm just that person. I'm the person that like helps the person on the horse. Whatever that job is. Like, I'm not the jockey.
Just like,
I'm
you
just
are the mama bird sitting in the nest, like, fly my chickens.
Yes.
And then you just toss us. Yeah.
With like zero judgment. Like I was shooting crop sensor, didn't even know Lightroom that well. And she just like came and sat next to me. She's like, how are things going for you? And I was like, clearly I'm sweating and you could see it in my fucking armpits. So help me God. And she sat next to me and walked me right through it. Like zero judgment. And I appreciate that.
Thanks,
Sweet
guys.
angel.
Shut up.
Shout out.
You're also the reason I'm in therapy.
Well, yeah.
If
If I bully someone hard enough, I can get them to do anything.
Honestly, she really strong arms me, but like I need it. I genuinely need it.
she has that effect on people. That effect as well too.
Yeah.
I just, I can't be everyone's therapist.
So she has to.
So I have to outsource.
Send him to actually real therapists.
I mean, literally, even this summer, I have identity crises all the time. I was like talking to schools about getting my degree in counseling. I love it.
Yeah,
I do, but it's like,
we love
they're
that
like,
for you.
oh yeah, 3 years. And I was like, 3 fucking years? No, I'm not signing up for that. I got shit to do.
I would rather sign a lease.
And I did.
Years.
I signed a 3-year lease.
I'd rather
starting
do that.
another business. So, mental illness follows me everywhere.
And we love that for you.
Oh my God, Jeri, this is already a treat. We haven't even gotten into what you're talking about.
We could do this forever.
So Jeri is a mother, and
two,
and of a few. Remember that time when you got pregnant, and it was like, whoa.
Which time? I've been pregnant like the majority of my marriage.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, it's wild.
So wild.
Which is something we want to dive into too.
Yeah, so we brought Jeri on because we thought it'd be really good for people to I think for me it was like stop fantasizing parenthood and hear a real, like, whenever Jeri was talking about, like, because I've been friends with Jeri from like first miscarriage to like, now having 2 children. So it was like seeing that whole process, and I just felt like she had such like a refreshing view on parenthood where like you could acknowledge like, hey, this is something I want and I've worked for, but also I also wish I could run away to Washington and not
100%.
And I was like, that is such a healthy like view that I wanted other people to hear. And so thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Jess, do you have any opening remarks that you wanted to make?
Are you segueing me into that?
I don't know.
Okay.
We're bad.
Okay, so this is, I guess, before I want to hear Jeri's background story before we kind of segue into.
Do you want to give like your just a quick synopsis?
My journey into getting to motherhood, or just like how early do you want me to start? Like when I was 6, I first thought about being a mother.
No, we're going way back.
Whoa.
All the way back. No. So my husband and I were together for like 4 years before we got married, and he wanted to like knock me up before the wedding. He was like, I want to be a dad. We wanted a family terribly. And I was like, yo, you're in school. Financial stability is important. Let's hold up. Let's get married. Let's figure this out. And immediately after we got married, I got pregnant so fast. And so we got married in June. I was pregnant for the first time by Thanksgiving. And by Christmas, I had miscarried. So then we got pregnant again in April. And I had a miscarriage in the second trimester that July. So after that miscarriage, I found out that I have a genetic issue, potentially. There's been some contesting to that diagnosis. But essentially what I was told is that the protein that tells your placenta to stay attached to your uterus, my body doesn't make it. So my body was like spontaneously aborting my pregnancies. It was just like detaching. And I was told if I ever wanted to have children, I was going to need to do 2 shots of a medication in my stomach every day for the first 15 weeks of my pregnancies. And then also stick a pill in a place that you normally don't stick pills. And just like hope that it sticks. It wasn't even a guarantee. So,
wow.
Yeah. We were told that because my second loss, because I was 16 weeks along and because of where the baby was, it was not safe for me to miscarry on my own, like for my body to go into labor naturally. So I had to have a surgery. And because of that, there was scarring in my uterus, which left me struggling to get pregnant for like 6 or so months. And I know a lot of people struggle for longer, but for me, who like my husband sneezed and I was pregnant, like that was a long time for us to be trying and it not working. So we decided to stop trying. We were like, we're not going to have kids. We don't want to do this. At that point, I had started my photography business. I had decided I was going to leave teaching. We were going to move to Washington. We had already started this idea of a new life without children. And then I got pregnant with Ollie. And I started doing the medication. And he was born perfectly healthy, no complications with the pregnancy. And then, sweet Jesus, 2 days before his first birthday, I was pregnant again. And now Forrest is 6 months old. So we will be married 5 years this year. And in that time, I was pregnant 4 times, 2 losses, and then 2 babies. And now he has a vasectomy. So
nice. Yeah, girl, get that vasectomy.
You were like, we are done. Cutting that shit off.
Jeri's children are who I show pictures of. Like I was at they're like my aunts and uncles, but they're technically my cousins. And I was at their house. We went to Pittsburgh to go to IKEA. And so we stayed there and they're showing pictures of their grandkids. And I'm just like, there's a picture of look at these pictures of my friend Jeri's baby eating spaghetti.
Please look at them.
The cutest fucking kids on earth.
I am genuinely concerned that they're like not mine because I thought I was going to give birth to like aliens. And then when they came out, I'm like, yo, this one's too cute. Like freshly out of me, entirely too cute.
They were very cute fresh. And I don't say that
and
about babies.
That's not common. I mean, you could be biased and be like, this ain't cute because they came out of me and you love it so much, right? And it's like,
if anyone like says that there's no such thing as an ugly baby, like you're lying. You're lying. There are. And I was prepped to have one. I'm like, it's okay. We have this thing called hope and we will pray that you grow out of it. You know, come into yourself, celebrate you as you are.
That's a common fear. Like, is my baby, will I not think it's cute? But I don't believe that.
Oh, I mean, I know it's not cute. I looked at my newborn photo and I'm like a red blotch and my hands are doing alien shit.
Yes.
Who was in charge of those pictures at the hospital? Do they still do that? Do they call in JCPenney still? And are like, they do?
They ask you if you want someone to come in and take photos.
Yeah.
And I said,
wow.
You can apply for that job. Someone sent that to me when I
Oh.
was first starting off as a photographer. Like, do you want this job? I was like, hell no.
Isn't it funny the stuff that people suggest to you about what you should do with your camera? They're like, oh my God, you could take school photos. And I'm like, or I could jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The zoo is hiring. Did you know the zoo's hiring for the kids center? Oh,
I was like, I'll take a picture of a leopard. I'm
I was
not
like,
taking
yeah,
a
if
picture.
we're
of...
talking animal photography, I'm in. Because I was like, I'm confused where you're going.
no. Am I like?
Yeah.
There have been a lot of those moments where I'm like, I'm sorry. What part of me owning my own business has led you to believe that I am not doing it?
Yeah, hard pass.
What part of you? I don't know. So
I'm
what?
sorry. I forgot I asked for your input.
No, God, people are the worst. But Jess, did you have anything
Okay.
else before Jeri gets
Yeah,
into her
okay.
advice?
So I just wanted to say this and thank Jeri for talking realistically and honestly about pregnancy and motherhood, because I'm just going to reference Amy Schumer in this as something that I've came across recently on TikTok, which led me down like a rabbit hole of her documentary and then her experience. She had a really like terrible pregnancy, had a lot of issues, a lot of pain, but I want to quote her. So she quotes, "I don't resent my pregnancy. I resent everyone who hasn't been honest. I resent the culture of how much women have to suck it the fuck up and act like everything is fine. I really resent that," end quote. Just talking about the realities of pregnancy, like you and your journey of miscarriages, and then also like having to be on these shots and pills that you don't think should have pills being injected into. Like you said, it's like that is so realistic and so honest. And I feel like we all talk about motherhood and pregnancy to be this beautiful thing, but it's also like we go through some real shit. Not we, because I haven't yet, but yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot of shit that goes on too. Someone gave me a video of like what it looks like to use the restroom after you have a baby, and I'm traumatized. I'm like, what the fuck? No one tells me this.
Jeri,
I mentioned
Jeri's
this
the
in the episode where I talked about Forrest's birth story. I had a nurse squatting because she needed to measure my pee, and she was squatting with a squirt bottle, squirting my throbbing vagina, trying to trick it into peeing. She's like, if you get it wet, it'll think that it's already peeing. And I'm like, I don't think it will. I don't think that it will. Please stop.
I don't think
Spray
it's a
bottling
chia
my
pet.
crotch.
What are you talking about?
It was wild. It was wild. But yeah, it's the thing about pregnancy and motherhood is there's so much toxic positivity around it. And
good. That's good.
It is incredibly frustrating because you suffer in silence so much and you feel like you're the problem because your experience isn't the one that's being shared most often. And so you feel broken. You feel like you're a bad mom because you are not feeling like you're glowing. You're not feeling this connection. You're not feeling this undeniable warmth and like you are a literal flower sprouting from the ground. No, it fucking hurts. And you're sick and you're tired and you're miserable. Your hormones are all over the place. And I don't want to shy anyone away from pregnancy, but people don't talk about that the same way they don't talk about the fact that the reason they say pregnancy is a miracle or childbirth is a miracle is because the amount of things that have to go right to have a child is like, there isn't a number that I know how to say.
Yeah.
The stars have to align. And when you're in school, you don't learn what happens if those stars don't align. And so when I had my first miscarriage, I was completely blindsided. Completely. And then after we lost Jonah, which was our second, I was unaware that you can experience postpartum depression without a child. So my hormones from the severe drop, I was suicidal. I was And that's why when I talk about it, like, retreat yourself saved my life. Like, I don't know if I've ever said that to you, but it did.
Don't do that.
It did. I swear to God, it did. And it changed my perspective on a lot of things, and it allowed me to heal and start a different path for myself that I chose. And I'll be honest, on this new path, I don't know if kids would have been on it. And it's because I didn't know that was an option. And that's on just society and telling women that their worth is in being a mom. And that's not always the case. Now, I feel a great sense of responsibility, and I'm so happy that I get to be a mom to 2 boys and that I get to have this influence on them and teach them about the world and hopefully make them really incredible men. But at the same time, like, I know myself differently now. I'm happy with my path. I'm happy with where I am. But I don't want people, and women specifically, to think that motherhood is the path and it's on a timeline, and that's, you will not be complete until you reach that, you know?
Right.
So. I love that. Jeri, thank you. Thank you for talking openly and honestly about that. Like, that means so much to someone who wants to enter motherhood soon, you know? So that means a lot to me.
Although Jess and I have a fucking pact. And if she breaks this fucking pact.
I didn't sign shit, but I understand
a
that
cul-de-sac was promised.
We were going to share a backyard.
Jeri's good. She'll pull at the heartstrings.
Jeri's fucking good. I
keep
keep you around for a reason. We literally talk every day.
I watched a lot of Boy Meets World. I have so much Mr. Feeny in me. I can't even tell you.
Oh my God, Boy Meets World is my life. I've just started
Honestly.
rewatching like from start, like season 1.
Yeah.
And I've actually got Joe onto it, and my husband.
Was
and
he not
loved
on it?
No,
Was he
he
not
wasn't on
awake?
it. He wasn't
Was
on
he
it
not
as a
alive?
kid. And it's like, it's so relevant to today. He's like, that's so
Yeah.
crazy. They were so ahead of its time, and that it still carries through. But yes, Mr. Feeny is so wise and so perfect, and I feel that in you, Jeri, and that's why I love you.
And that's why
I
you're
love
Jeri
that. I connect.
Feeny.
I love it.
Okay, Jeri, let's get into your
let's get into these things we need to know before we enter into this stage of our lives.
Okay. So I've got 5 things. At first, I forgot what I titled this because I did it like 2 weeks ago, and I read in my notes top 5 things BK, and I was like, oh my God, is this my favorite Burger King list? Like, what is this? It stands for before kids. I got it.
Send that to us.
Chicken fries. That's
also valid information, so we're into that as well.
So first is Whopper Jr. No tomato. The first one is understand the commitment, and that sound like people always make the joke like have a plant and then have a dog and then have a kid. Okay, here's the deal. Both a plant and a dog can survive without you when you leave the house, and you're not going to get arrested for leaving it in a car. So it's bigger than that, okay? And it's not just a financial commitment, because everyone says, you know, you need to be financially stable, make sure you have all your ducks in a row, because it's a big financial commitment. And children are a big financial commitment. But it's also a big time commitment. It's 24/7. It's a 24/7 job. And you have a finite amount of energy, and you have to give all of it to that child because they can't do anything. Ollie's 2, and he still needs me for literally everything. So, and it's a commitment not only from you, but you're taking away whatever amount of energy you have from your partner, from your hobbies, from your career, for your goals. So thinking about what you want your life to look like when a kid enters the chat, like, it's all different. So, and if you, for me, I've said this before, but when I was growing up, having a job like I do now, not an option. So it was, you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you get married, you have a job, and then you have a kid, and then you repeat your daily life until you die. That's it. And when I had my first miscarriage and I realized, like, this is not what life has to be. And then I had my second and I'm like, you know what? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? And it's not that I didn't want a family, but I was finding myself being split in a bunch of different ways when really I was only being pulled in one. And I wanted to pursue photography and I wanted to pursue a podcast. I wanted to pursue this life of being 100% authentically myself. And that person, your authentic self, is always changing. But a commitment to a child is for their life. So you having that ability to change and adapt and morph into someone new becomes limited. So I now realize that when I decided I wanted to be Jeri Stein Photo or I wanted to be Jeri of Ladies and Tangents, I was also Jeri a mom. And I cannot give 100% of myself to my creative endeavors. And I can't give 100% of myself to my children. And part of me resents that. And I hate the fact that I look at my children sometimes and I think, I just need you to go to sleep because I have stuff to do.
Right.
And then I hate looking at my job and thinking, I do not want to do you right now. Do you?
I don't want to do you. Do you on the weekend.
I don't want to do this right now because I want to go outside and run with my kid.
Yeah.
And so now I can't love the two things that have always been something that's been put on my heart because they happened at the same time and I didn't allow one to fully develop before I entered the other one, you know?
Right.
Wow.
I remember when you were going through, it was a very interesting time in your life, especially to be your friend, as someone who was like hoping and praying for you. Like, it was like your actions were going one way until genetic testing and getting your uterus examined. I don't fucking know all the shit that you were doing. But then
there
the
were
other
so
part
many
of you,
people up in my parts.
Yeah, there was a lot of uterus action going on.
Yeah.
But then the other part of you and Shane were like, we're moving to Washington. Like, you'd gone to Seattle, you were scoping shit out. But it was like you were being torn in like two different, like quite literally, like your actions and your dreams, right? It was like your actions were like, I need to get to the bottom of why the fuck I can't stay pregnant. And your dreams were like, well, fuck it. Let's go to Washington.
Yeah.
You know?
And so,
But
Jeri, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to ask how you navigate that then. If all of these things are pulling you in different ways, like how do you fulfill all of these roles?
So that's on trauma.
Yeah.
That's my number 2 is to get into therapy before you have children, because I did not do that despite how many times Rachel told me to. And
you're there now, Jeri, and that's all that counts.
Therapy police. Somebody give me a badge, baby.
Honestly, I now realize, oh my gosh, merch for you guys. Just make patches that say therapy police.
Okay.
Wait, we love that.
We love that for us.
So I realize that a lot of my trauma comes out in this toxic need to be perfect and to succeed. So one of the things I struggled most with my miscarriages was feeling like a failure. I felt like my body is broken. The one thing I am supposed to be able to do that sets me apart from a guy, like for sure, you can't do this, is have a baby. And I couldn't do it. And not only could I not do it, I genetically was set up in such a way that it would like yeet my kids out of me.
Yeet.
Yes. So
Why did she come up with
just needed to have a kid in my head to prove to myself that I wasn't broken, that I wasn't a failure, that I could persevere in the face of adversity, despite pain, despite everything telling me now might not be the right time, just because I needed to fill this trauma hole
Yeah.
Yeah.
with a family, because that was in my head a failure. I did not complete this task.
Right. One of the things you said to me, I don't even know if you remember this, is you said to me, you were like, I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete my entire life. This is just a competition. I don't understand why my body can't do this, and I'm just competing with my body at this point. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. This is a competition. That was
the most annoying thing in the world, because I'm like, I cannot do enough workouts. I cannot eat a healthy enough diet to reprogram my DNA. There is literally nothing I can do about this. And it was the most helpless I've ever felt.
Yeah,
it's like the vulnerability there.
And just to feel so out of control with that has to be so frustrating, for sure.
Yeah. I know that, and a lot of it, so when I talk about therapy, like when I was pregnant, it was a huge time for me to reflect on like who I was as a person and how I became who I was, you know, because now I'm responsible for making another person. And I had to figure out like, okay, what was nature and what was nurture? What was something I was conditioned for, and what was something that was just like a part of my personality? And what was I more susceptible to? What did I react well to? What do I like about myself? What do I not like about myself? And how did I acquire those things? And then there's stuff like mental health disorders that run in families that are genetic. And I remember sitting at a restaurant across from Shane and saying, because he suffers from anxiety and depression. And I looked at him and I said, do you think you're going to be able to recognize it in our child? Because he remembers being suicidal for the first time when he was 6. And I was like, how do we fix that? How do we help him? Because he didn't know until he was in his mid-20s that he had anxiety and depression. So he struggled with that forever. And I'm like, how do we make sure that doesn't happen to our kid? And I realize now, while I'm in therapy, that there's a lot of toxic things that I held on to, and I am having to unlearn a lot of things at the same time I'm teaching them or trying to break a cycle. So it is very difficult. And I feel like if people have the opportunity to get in therapy before, work through this trauma, unlearn these situations, these unhealthy behaviorist tactics, then it will be easier. Put them in practice now so that when you have a kid, you're not trying to do 2 things at once. Because it is hard to teach what you don't know.
Right, absolutely.
So, I weirdly felt that feeling when I started dating Josh, when I was still getting over my divorce. It was like I was learning as I was being triggered by things, right? It was like something would happen and I'd be triggered and I'd be like, I don't want to react in this way. This is what I want to happen, and I'm just going to let it happen the way I want it to happen, and I'm not going to be punished or ridiculed or feeling shame. It was like this weird, like, empowering, but also I'm kind of like, I should have a professional helping me deal with this. Like, it was weird in that, like, being triggered helped heal me in a way where I was like, wow, that was fucked up that I had to deal with that. Yeah. But in the same way, it's like, I get to be healed now. Like, I get to feel good now. Yep. So weird. That
and
feeling
it took
is
me,
so strange.
You know, I didn't start going to therapy until this past December, and Ollie turned 2. So, like, I went 2 years into motherhood. I had 2 miscarriages, never went to therapy, never understood what was going on. Now, I don't regret it because I'm happy with where I am.
Yeah.
I would never change anything.
Yeah.
But if I could give advice to other people, it's figure that out before, because it is much harder doing it the way that I'm doing it now. And I know that there are a lot of people who've never done it, and all they're doing now is just repeating toxic cycles, and they don't realize they're doing it. Because when you do that, you have to admit that there are things you don't like about yourself. There are things
Right.
that you struggle with. And it doesn't have to be a negative trait of yours. It doesn't have to mean that you're a bad person. It just means like, you know what? I struggle with perfectionism. Where does that come from and why? And how do
Right.
I make sure that's not something my kid struggles with?
Right.
Digging down to the root of it and finding the function of that and where that comes from.
Yeah.
And then also, that's not something I want to see in my child because I struggle with that. I don't want them to struggle with that. Same for Shane's, mental health journey as well. Like, what was his answer when you asked him, would he recognize it?
He said he doesn't know. And that's the thing is like in children, it manifests differently. So as a kid, you don't always understand how to process your emotions. So they manifest more physically. So his were manifesting as he was vomiting at school a lot. He was really sick. He developed hiatal hernias and ulcers. So when you don't know what's going on up here, it'll tell you down here. It'll tell you in here. So for him to experience that as a kid and not know until he was an adult, his body just got in the habit of being like, we'll show you what's up, but it's going to be in your stomach.
Absolutely.
And he ended up being like 116 pounds before we, and he's like 6 foot. So like before we were, I've been waiting my whole damn relationship to weigh less than my husband.
Not that
We're
matters.
there now. Every time I got there, he'd knock me up, and I'm like, you mother.
Oh my gosh.
Something my sister and I talked about today, which I think is a lot of people, especially like emotionally intelligent people that are in like high positions or respectable positions, right? We struggle with our mental health because it's like, I'm functioning. Right. Like, you had a miscarriage and you went back to work. You're functioning. You're functioning fine. You're living what society expects you to live. And Laura, my sister, and I were talking about that today. And it's like, what if it's not about how I'm functioning? What if it's how I'm feeling?
Yep.
What if how I'm feeling sucks? Fuck it if I'm functioning. I was talking to her because like I need to, like for 8 years I was on like ADHD medication. When I got out of college, I just went off of it because I was like, I'm not in school anymore. People don't have ADHD after school. I don't know like what I was thinking. I was just like, I don't need to be on
That's how that works.
And now I'm like, I'm juggling too much, right? And it's like I can't focus on anything for long enough. And I'm trying to meet with a psychiatrist to like help me get back on some medication to help me. And I'm just like, I'm worried that they're gonna deny me because I'm functioning fine. Like technically, I'm getting everything done. Technically, it's all going fine. But like physically, what's going on in my brain is too much for me to handle. I feel like it's too much for me to handle. But also, I've been taught that like, fuck you, Rach, you got to handle it. Fuck it. You have to.
But that's on
deal
hustle
with it.
culture.
Right.
That's on toxic positivity, hustle culture. It's like, oh, you're in pain. Oh, it hurts. That means it's working. That means I'm going to praise you even more when you succeed in spite of it. But it's like, at what cost? At what cost now? So that's not therapy for me. That's what I'm focusing on now is saying, like, you know what? My life experience, my day-to-day mental health and how I'm able to enjoy these moments with my children and how I'm able to enjoy these moments in my businesses, that matters more than me succeeding in spite of pain. So it's a long road.
I've said it before.
That
I'll say it
sigh
again.
was good. Like you responded in a way to Rach's story that like that's on hustle culture. That's on something that I'm working on, but you responded in such a way that it's already working on you.
Yeah.
So keep that.
Rach knows behind
up.
the scenes. Like it is.
I'm so fucking proud of you.
No, that's huge though. It's something
It's
that
not
you say
right.
you're working on, but you responded in a way that's like, it deep down.
Yeah.
So putting it to action, is another story, but it's also like good.
Yeah. Like I know,
But I hope
Jeri,
if someone
so, like,
is, I hope if someone else is struggling with it, they hear that and they're like, wait, I don't have to like hustle. I don't have to never sleep and be on my grind and no, you don't.
No.
You are not here to just make money and then die.
Right.
I won't like shout out the queen of this thing, but it's similar to the boy wash your butt thing. You know the author I'm talking about, that book?
Yep.
It's not that, but it boy wash your butt. Like something like that. It's just this like you just got to put it to the test, you got to work it. And it's like fuck you, whatever your name is.
Oh.
Like, here's the problem.
We silently. We know who this is.
Okay. It's a very famous book.
I know who it is. Okay.
She has
it missed me at first, but now I'm catching on. Okay.
Yeah. Boy, wash
that's
your
the
butt.
problem too.
Might be
is
a
that
good book to start, Jeri, if you ever want to start a new project.
I just make a parody book of it. But that's the thing is like I have friends who have platforms, and I thought about this the other day. They had a story that was showing like number 1,423 things that didn't end the world, and it was like spilled milk. And what they were saying is like, this isn't a big deal, nothing to get upset about. Keep on going, have a positive day. I get that for you, that spilled milk is nothing. But for someone else, that is a straw that broke the camel's back, and it does feel like the end of the world. And now, because it feels like the end of the world, seeing your post makes them feel guilty that it feels like the end of the world. It makes them feel like they're broken. They're the stupid one. They should feel silly for feeling those things. And now, instead of owning those feelings and be like, dang, why am I feeling that? That hurts. Why is that my reaction to this? They're just thinking I'm an idiot for feeling this way. And that's not true. All it does is prevent them from getting to the root of it and healing. It just makes them feel shame for it. And that is something that gets me on a soapbox that pisses me off real bad.
No, that's
mostly because
so
I suffered from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it all goes back to talking openly and honestly about this stuff, like in the toxic positivity of it. It's like, everything's fine. I'm a mother. I hustle. I do this, that, and any other. It's like, that is impossible and almost impossible from someone who's not there. It's like, I don't even, that's discouraging to achieve it. It's like, I like my career. I like working hard. I like where my life's at. And it's like to add that to the mix on top of like all this shit that's going on. And you say it's like, we're good. It's like, fuck no.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That is going to be very hard. And I need to talk to people who are going to be open and honest about it being hard.
And I feel like I would argue that like most people deep down have this kind of reality where it's like, fuck that culture. But so many people are so attracted to the feedback they get from hustle culture that they'll preach it for that feedback. Because like something that I teach, like when I do workshops, is like pick 3 things that you give a shit about. You know, maybe it's your website, maybe it's social media, maybe it's client interaction. And then the other things you're going to have to deal with, or you can outsource them.
Yeah.
Because in reality, if you're good at everything, good for fucking you. But if you're not, that's you're the normal person, right? Like it's a reason why I don't go to workshops, because like they're the workshops that we all know that they're now canceled now, the shuffle and go or whatever.
I love these code names.
I know. We're just doing that. Like, their whole platform was like, you're a fucking piece of shit. You need to work hard. And it's like, yeah, that'll motivate you for a minute. Yeah. But self-hatred is the worst motivator to get you to change anything in your life. It'll guilt you for a minute, and then you'll go spiraling, and then you'll just be in this, I'm a piece of shit. I'm never going to be good enough. Yep. Kind of like, you know, roundabout way of thinking, to the point where you're like, I can't even get back up there again. I can't even get on top of my shit again. When in reality, it's like, you're a goddamn human being. Set goals for yourself that you want to achieve. Like for me, like for career, it's like, I'm not good at social media. Like I can be good at it. I understand it, but I don't have the energy for it. My cup doesn't pour into that. It pours into it approximately 2 times a month. And that's fine for me.
And you will all celebrate me when I do.
Yeah. Everybody send me clapping hands emojis when I post on my story. Like, this bitch posted. She did March. Good for you, Rach.
Please turn on my post notifications so you know, because I be dropping them in secret.
They rare. They're rare spotting.
Yeah.
But yeah. Jeri, you're so wise. Give me number 3.
Thanks.
Give me number 3.
Okay, so number 3 is be prepared to lose. And that is something that no one wants to hear because it's a horrible, horrible thing to experience. And it's not talked about enough. And I'm so grateful for celebrity figures like Chrissy Teigen and Meghan Markle who are being open, Christina Perry too, who are being open about pregnancy loss and late-term pregnancy loss because it's, again, such a shameful thing. It is, I am broken, I am bad, I made a mistake, I am a failure, and you just start thinking, I'm broken. And I remember crying in my classroom because I had this realization that, like, the body that was broken in my mind, the body that was so broken lying on the bathroom floor is the same body that got up again. It's the same body that kept me going. It's the same body that went walking in the woods with headphones in and a camera like a stupid fool because someone totally could have murdered me. It's the same body that kept me going. And so reframing that, but allowing yourself to prepare for it in case it does happen, because it is not only a shock to you, but it can be a shock to your relationship. And I didn't know that pregnancy loss and, God forbid, child loss ends marriages because people don't know how to heal from it. And a lot of people go in thinking, you know, it's 1 in 4. It won't be us. Well, guess what happened to us twice?
Right.
I never thought. And like, I can list people in my family, in my direct family, who've experienced it. I know so many people. So I think that statistic is fucked, honestly. But I feel like understanding what it actually looks like and knowing, you know, if this were to happen for us, if this doesn't go well, what are we going to do? How are we going to be? How are we going to heal? How are we going to be there for each other? How are we going to communicate? And not focusing all of your experience being pregnant on it, because I also know that my entire pregnancy with Ollie up until like 2 weeks ago, I was scared I was going to lose him. You never lose that fear as a mom, but like my whole pregnancy, I never wanted to get attached because I thought, what if I don't get to keep him?
Yeah.
And so I don't want people to be afraid, but I want people to be prepared because I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it rocked me. And I want people to know, like I mentioned earlier, that you can experience postpartum depression because it is a severe hormone drop. And I didn't feel like I was able to ask for help because I didn't have a kid. So like, what was I feeling? You know, just like big sad. I was just feeling the big sad. No, like, baby, you have postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Get help. So I don't think people understand that part of it. And I wanted to mention that part.
Yeah,
for sure. Jeri, did you recognize postpartum depression as what it was?
Like in the moment?
Yeah.
No. Oh, no. Well, no, not until after the fact, because I believed like you don't have postpartum. I wasn't postpartum, but like I was.
Yeah.
Right. I thought you're not postpartum depression has to do with like you not wanting to take care of your baby, you know, or it's the baby blues, but that wasn't it. And something people don't talk about either is postpartum anxiety. I think it's becoming more of a conversation, but I had pretty severe postpartum anxiety after my kids were born. And that is not so much like I don't feel like I can get up and take care of myself or my child, but more like I am afraid everything is going to kill him. Everything. And like I remember driving with him in the car for the first time. And when I got to a stoplight, I just paused in silence and waited to hear him breathing because I thought just driving in the car, he was going to be like, that was it.
I feel like that's I feel like that is absolutely how I'll be all the time. Being pregnant scares the shit out of me. In like my marriage with Dave, I almost forgot what we were calling him.
I know.
I was just like, I'm tapping out. I don't want to do it. Right. I didn't want to do it because like I was told I'd have to go off my medicines. I was like, that's not fucking worth it for me. It'd be too stressful managing my mental health. And now I'm like more open to it as I've like, you know, gotten older or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I just feel like I will struggle. Like the other day, like I was sleeping and I was like, I need to touch my mom's dog because I need to know that she's still alive. What the fuck is wrong with me? She's still alive. What would kill her? She's like 6. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I go in all the time.
We just don't talk about it that much.
I couldn't imagine the exhaustion, Jeri, of that.
Oh, it is.
Because not only are you not sleeping, but you're not sleeping because you're scared that your kid might not wake up. Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine that. So, holy.
And when you don't sleep, you start hallucinating. And that's one of the weirdest things, too. You start seeing people in your house and you're like, great, now we're all getting murdered.
We done. We out here.
Yeah. Well, if you weren't dead before, we're all dead now. So.
At least we're going together.
No, I know. Like, no sleep leads to, like, almost like a drunk, loopy feeling.
Yeah, it's like a psychosis.
And then after that comes hallucination. So it's like, we're all dead. We're all dead.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So my number 4 is discuss parenting styles, because that's another deal breaker, especially because like the likelihood that 2 people who are having a child together in any type of way were raised the same way and values the same things in parenting is not likely. And you don't really think about like, oh, how was I raised? What did I like about that? What do I want to implement in my own parenting style? And like to assume that the other person that you're with, that's identical. No, it's not.
No way.
And I also knew that I did not want to parent how I was parented. And so I did a lot of independent research. I watched a lot of YouTube because I'm not a big reader. Everyone is like, read this parenting book. And I'm like, I bet someone read it already and will tell me about it in 15 minutes. So, no.
And like you said, a lot of unlearning in that.
Yeah.
Which is so hard.
And it's hard if you don't have a partner who's also willing to unlearn it. So like, for instance, we don't spank. But if I was with someone who was like, they're going to learn only if I spank them, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's just not. And so now, instead of us being a team entering parenting, now we're inconsistent. And guess who picks up on that? Your kid. Your kid picks up on that. And now they're able to put you guys against each other. Now they're in the middle. Now that is where resentment can come in against you guys. And also now a kid feels guilt and feels responsible for being that wedge between you, because that wasn't there before. So I think making sure that whatever your vision is for parenting, whatever kind of human you want to raise, figuring out how to go about that and being on the same page with it.
When would you encourage people to have that conversation? Like before marriage, during dating, like when?
Honestly,
just ASAP.
Truly, yeah. Because I don't think that there is too early a time to talk about forever with someone, because like, I got places to go. I got people to be with if it's not you. And if you're not willing to daydream about us being old people together, like, why am I here?
Right.
I don't want to have to like convince you over a series of dates that like I'm the one. I feel like
you'll know.
You know, in the beginning, I think you have an idea of whether you could at least pretend with someone. You know, I'm not saying propose to me today, but if you can't even imagine playing pretend in your head about what we'd be like as grandparents, then I don't know. Not for me.
Then you gotta go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I think that talking about that kind of and it doesn't have to be like, hi, nice to meet you. So like, what's your childhood trauma like? Although that was very much my first date.
Shit, you gotta get out of the way.
Yeah, I think talking about that and being and sometimes you don't have to talk about it. You could like hear in a person's conversation, you're like, oh, so you like hit kids, huh?
Yeah.
Check.
Oh,
check,
nice.
please. Yeah.
We don't have much else to talk about here. as far as parenting
you're
goes.
like a get the belt kind of guy, huh? Nope, no thank you.
Not for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah. So what would you give advice for if like you have different parenting styles? So obviously you and Shane grew up in different homes, and I feel like that's just like common for you. Where do you find the common ground, and how do you find the common ground in being on the same page with parenting styles?
So I'm very lucky that Shane just does whatever I say.
Perfect. No, that's a perfect. Yeah, that works out.
No, but he really respects my view on things. Honestly, it kind of goes into my number 5, which is get really comfortable with over communicating. And he and I were very, very open about our childhood. We were open about how our parents were in their relationship, how our parents were with us, and how we used that information to decide how we wanted to be as partners and as parents. And once we knew what we wanted to look like, we kind of worked backwards and figured out, okay, how do we go about achieving that? And I have a bachelor's in education. I have done a lot of work with applied behavior analysis. I've worked with kids with special needs. Jess and I have talked about that before. And like, I know a lot about how development works. And that's something that I communicated to him, and he trusts me a lot with that. So he's like not super into looking into it. And so he kind of entrusted that to me. But if he ever has a concern, he feels really comfortable telling me that. And that's why I say get really comfortable overly communicating with each other. And part of parenting is teaching a kid something. And if you want your kid to explain what they're feeling, you need to be able to explain what you're feeling. You need to model what you want your kid to do. So if you want your kid to speak to you in a way where they are processing their emotions, they're identifying what they're feeling, and they're communicating it to you, you need to do that not only to your kid, but you need to do that to your partner. And I'm not afraid to have a disagreement in front of my kids with Shane, because I know that we're going to speak to each other with respect. We're going to handle that situation with respect. And if we're going to disagree, we're also going to reconcile in front of them, because just as important as it is for my kids to know how to have a confrontation, it's also important for them to understand how to have a reconciliation. So, because conflict is inevitable, how you deal with it is what's important. So me being able to identify what I'm feeling and just lay it all out for Shane is so helpful for him to understand me. And it's helpful for my kids when they're having their big emotions to feel comfortable coming to me or having them in front of me. They don't hide them from me. I don't tell them, you're fine, quit crying.
Right.
No, baby, you cry. You cry with mama. We're all crying here in this house.
Yes.
Right.
It's so good to model that. I love that. It's a new perspective that I've heard. It's like, I'm not afraid to have a disagreement with your husband because you're modeling that, because you know it's going to be, you know, reciprocated with respect on his end. And then they watch the conflict unfold, and then the end result.
Yeah.
Huge, right?
I think modeling is so huge. Like, I believe that, like, I had a fairly, like, healthy childhood, right? I had a very present mother. A little bit later, my dad got there. Like, my parents split up. But, like, my parents, like, they never made me feel like I was, like, less than. They always made me feel very, like, they were very proud of me. Like, but, like, I remember crying alone in my room whenever I had a big emotion, right? Because, like, they didn't model any sort of confrontation. I never saw my parents fight. I never saw them kiss. Like, I only saw them when they were, like, playing with us or eating dinner. And, like, my one-on-one relationships with each of my parents are wonderful. But, like, that modeling behavior is how humans learn.
Right.
And, like, especially as, like, children who are nonverbal for a long time, right? Like, they need that. Like, how you can have a big emotion verbalize it and talk to someone you love about it. Like they can't rationalize.
And you're still going to be loved after it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Like they hug and kiss after it, it's fine. But like I remember being frustrated with my dad and just going into my room and just sobbing and like drawing his face and scribbling it out. Like, my dad is so mean.
So many yearbooks were ruined by me in my room with a marker.
Dude, it's more like where you like, they're like, go up to your room, right? And you'd shut the door so silent, you'd be like, at the door, you would just, I would rage, like shake, but be so quiet so they wouldn't hear it.
My sneak ass would go back to the steps, and I'm like, so you bitches still talking about me? Because I'm listening. I am here on the steps.
Oh, my God.
I know. And I'm about to take it to my journal that I have to type a passcode into that you don't know, and I'm about to write about you in it.
Yes. Passcode, and it opens on its own. Oh, my gosh, I had that.
I will never
forget. Of that journal.
I will never forget my sister's voice activated.
Voice activated. Oh my God.
Diary, because her and I had the same voice, and I was a mutant ninja turtle. So like I've been my sister's age since I was 8. So she's 4 years older than me, but like I'm built different. I don't know what it is. Creatine? What?
I don't know how
but I just remember hearing her say that what her password was, which was J, which was her crush.
Oh, it's always your crush.
Crush in the 6th grade. J.
Mine was Mike Dupree.
And I remember opening it. J. And I remember being like, bitch, I'm a CIA agent. I got this. Laura's going to listen to this.
My future is set. I'm
my
cracking
sister and
codes.
I were not friends until she graduated from high school. We hated each other because I was such a little bitch. I was so terrible. I was like the
as an older sister, I have to take her side.
You should.
Get out of her passcode.
Yeah.
Oh, it was J. She could have made it longer.
Honestly, that's on her.
His name should have been longer. What kind of fucking name is that?
Yeah, she at least needed, like, what do they require now? An exclamation point or something?
Yeah, and a special character, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
J, exclamation point, and sign.
2 underscores.
Okay, Jeri, I have a question from you personally.
Okay.
With your background in special education, as am I, do you feel like that, like, you were well equipped going into parenthood? Because we've seen it all. Like, spilt milk ain't nothing, right? So it's like, we've been through the trenches. It's really difficult. You definitely pick and choose your battles. Do you feel like that was good groundwork for
yes
parenthood?
And no.
Okay.
Yes and no. So whenever people see me mothering, the comment I always hear is, Jeri has so much patience. Oh my gosh, Jeri has so much patience. And I literally respond like, I have a degree in patience.
Yeah.
That is what I went to school for, because I've had people pin me up against a wall and tell me they were going to injure me. I've had people just like out of nowhere smack me. I've had people just like screaming. So like I definitely learned what patience was. The reason I say no is because I do not like a lot of special ed is about behaviors, and it is all about increasing behaviors you like and decreasing behaviors that you don't.
Right.
And a lot of times there are tactics used to acquire that I don't agree with. So a lot of praise, a lot of bribery, a lot of removal of things, a lot of timeouts. None of that is like cool in my house because I think it is a very toxic thing to raise a kid in, because they don't understand why you're doing it. So like timeout, for instance, if your kid makes a mistake because they're a kid, normally the mistake that they've made is because they didn't do something that you wanted them to do or in the way that you wanted them to do it. And so now you have put them in a corner first of all, that's dehumanizing and embarrassing. And you have now told them, I don't like you right now. I don't like what you've done. I don't want to see you.
Right.
And as a person, as an adult, if someone did that to me, instead of just saying like, hey, I don't really like what happened there, and here's why, can we try something else next time? Do you see how different you feel in that moment? That is what I would say is different for me about parenting than teaching. And I didn't often use a lot of behavioral tactics with that, but like sometimes because of just how kids on the autism spectrum are, they do require, some kind of routine or some kind of reward and encouragement to do these things. But for me and my space and my kids, like I don't clap for my kids when they do things. If they clap for themselves, dope. I love that you did that. Right. I want you to be happy. I want you to be proud of yourself. I don't want you to do something to make me clap. I don't want you to succeed at something and then look at me and say like, was that good enough?
Wow, Jeri.
Did I do a good job?
Yeah.
Thanks. I didn't come up with it, but thank you.
Well, you're practicing it. That's the fucking hard part. Anybody can come up with an idea, putting it into your own children's minds and making that cognitive effort as a parent every single fucking day. That's the thing about being a parent. It's not like a job you get to just like leave like for your trip to Cabo. Like you are actively doing all this shit every day, Jeri.
It's huge.
And that is huge and impressive huge. And wonderful. And
thanks. I'm so tired.
It's also huge, and it's like that's a lot of unlearning too, just with my background in this field. You just get used to it, right? I do it with dogs. I'm in the process of training dogs, so it's like positive reinforcement, and it's interesting too how you'll be when you parent, and
I know that was one of the things when I was reflecting was like I seek approval to a point of ignoring my own needs.
Yeah.
I will ignore what I want, what I like, what brings me joy because I want to make you happy, other person. But for what?
Yeah.
So I don't want my kids to grow up and just want to please me. I don't want them to just grow up and want to please other people. I want them to have this intrinsic motivation and be proud of themselves just because they accomplished something that they wanted to, not because they felt that this pressure from outside sources to do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool, Jeri.
That's generally something I've never like thought about.
Yeah.
Very cool.
'Cause you don't really get into deep with people's parenting styles or
because it's like bad news. And like I don't judge anyone for how they parent. Like you do what you need to do in your space.
Every kid's different too.
Your mind. Yeah. But this is what we do.
Other kids can be like hella behavioral, and it's like you have to take that extra measure, like because that didn't work, right? So it's like things will look different.
This is like real though. Like I was literally talking to my sister today, who's like, she probably won't mind me saying this. I'm gonna say it anyway. Fuck you, Laura. But
you just dogged her. You're like,
but everyone knows your password now, Laura.
Hey,
I know. Yeah, we're in now.
But she was saying like, and it's something I struggle with too, like knowing when you're proud of yourself, because like she as a diagnosed type A perfectionist doesn't know. Like she's like, my whole life have been working to impress other people, whether that be my parents, my teachers, my friends, my partner,
Yep.
And she's like, how do I know when I'm proud of myself? So like instilling that in a young age, like I'm over here trying to be a therapist to her. I'm like, dye your hair pink. Do something the childhood of you would be really excited about. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know anything what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. Use Kool-Aid if you want just a temporary situation.
Oh my God. Maybe I've always wanted to do that, but I'm so scared because my hair is like such a unique color
red.
that I like. Yeah.
I don't think Kool-Aid could really do anything. It's sugar.
Honestly, no. It's already Kool-Aid.
Red dye number 4. but like I just think that's so, because it's like, my sister's 30 years old and like it's carried this like, because I think you as a parent, you want your kids to know that you're proud of them. That's so normal. That's so normalized, and it's not negative.
But them looking to you for that before they feel it themselves.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing. That's the problem is not with how we were raised always. It's not always a problem because it was meant with good intent. They had no idea the outcome of this. Sierra and I did an episode about growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. And it was all about like this mentality of telling a kid they're so smart. Sounds like a great thing. But when you just hear, I'm smart, what do I have to work for? I am naturally smart. Why would I have to try? And then when I meet some kind of obstacle and I encounter failure, I'm not supposed to fail. Right. I'm smart. Now what's my motivation? Now, instead of wanting to overcome, I just go into a deep hole of feeling like I'm a piece of shit and a fraud, where a kid who is told, like, you worked really hard. You worked really hard to do that, and you never gave up, is now going to think, you know what? No matter what my grade was here, I worked hard and I didn't give up. And I can continue to do that, and I can try harder next time, and I can do things differently next time. It's all a mindset thing, and we don't mean to do this. We have the best intentions, but now we have more information, we have other data, and we just have to adapt.
God, I love that. I love that. Because I feel like my cheerleader ass would be like, you did so great. You're so smart.
I feel like
I'm like and I feel like Joe is going to be like, your ass can work harder. That's for sure, you know? But this is just so refreshing. Yeah. It's so good, and it's so knowledgeable, and it's so real. And I love that for us and for you and for your kids, because you're raising men, good men.
Oh, I'm freaking trying. I hope they are good to whoever their partners are in the future.
Yeah. So we got to navigate into the Q&A. How are we all doing on having to pee?
Do you want to pause?
Could get wine. Could get more wine for me.
And I could urinate.
Honestly, I'm dry and empty, so she
okay.
can empty and then fill, you know what I mean?
Okay.